And I think now like people want a forever bag. If they're going to spend over $400, they want that to be a forever bag. And you notice like it's peeling, and then you take it to the shoemaker and you're like, can you
And,
clean this for me? And
and
he's like,
he's like,
oh,
no.
no. And then you're like, my bag is literally crumbling apart. And if you have leather, it lasts forever. So I think people are kind of going back to.
Hi, and welcome to Handbag Designer 101, the podcast with your host, Emily Blumenthal, handbag industry expert and the handbag fairy godmother. Each week, we uncover the stories behind the handbags we love, from the iconic brands and top designers to the creativity, craftsmanship, and culture that define the handbag world. Whether you're a designer, collector, or simply passionate about handbags, this is your front row seat to it all. Welcome, Holly Beedle, to Handbag Designer 101, the podcast. This has been long overdue. I'm so excited we were finally able to connect because selfishly, having a podcast, I get to talk to people I like to talk to about handbags. So welcome.
That's great. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me today.
So we go way back. You have been in the handbag industry for quite some time on the design side, on the creative side. You've worked with a lot of brands. And I think part of the podcast, which makes this so interesting to listen to, is hearing so many different angles of the handbag industry. And I think being someone who's been a designer for multiple brands, you see things and you're around things like retail trends, design trends, so forth, that the rest of the world might not be privy to.
Right. You're right. You're right. We have, like, I call myself a secret agent because lately I've been a ghost designer. And so I design for the brands that maybe fall underneath like a bigger name, like Ralph Lauren or Coach. There's a whole team beneath that brand that put together these special bags for you to carry. And being part of that community, you do get the insider secrets. So I call myself a secret agent. Like, people are like, oh, who are you? And I'm like, well, you might not know me, but you'll definitely know the brands that I've worked for. And I kind of like it that way.
You'll definitely know the bags I've designed, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, right. And I can recognize my style. Like, I definitely have a hand. Like, I have a hand and an element to the way that I design, and I have a sensitivity to the way that I design. So from brand to brand, I can see all those elements existing, but I take on the DNA and the ethos of that brand, and I pretty much become an actor in their play. And I pretty much portray whatever role they need me to play for that moment. If they're like, oh, you're a girl going out to dinner, well, I researched the heck out of like, what do girls wear right now going out to dinner, and where are they wearing them? Are they in Texas? Are they in New York? Are they in LA? Well, they're going out to brunch in LA. And it's like all these stories start coming into your mind, and being like sort of a global fashion designer for these different brands. It's really fun for me not just to be stuck in one niche.
How much, because this is something I preach, like, not to use the word that's overdone, but literally preach about getting into the ethnography, meaning what your customer is eating, drinking, sleeping, carrying, driving, watching, consuming. All of that has to go into play, because to design a product, specifically a bag or a vessel that they become codependent on, that you want them to come back and buy again and again, you need to understand this person from more than a design perspective. You need to understand them from an empath, right? You need to see, feel, what are they going through? What are their struggle points? What are their agonies? And how can you create a product to be a solution, and also something that they would then want to enjoy from an aesthetic perspective? I mean, that's challenging, especially in a market that's so oversaturated.
Yeah, well, you become a problem solver. Like, I like to be organized because I am thinking all the time, and I don't want to have to think about where my sunglasses are in my purse. I want to make sure that I have a pocket for my toiletries, for pencils, for pens. I need a journal. I need a cell phone pocket. All of those things are important to me. And then I observe. So I go out into the wild and I watch people and I watch women, I talk to women. And for some reason, people really like to tell me their stories. They like to open up to me and they like to tell me their problems. Like I've designed diaper bags. So I've spoken to a lot of moms. I've been a mom myself. Being a woman kind of helps me design for women, but I've also designed for men. I've also designed gear bags. I've designed a lot of different things. I know when I designed for Harley Davidson, I actually went to all the stores. I went to every chop shop. I met with everyone. I almost bought a Harley Davidson. Like I really like I love to jump into the role and be that person, and it's like you're a chameleon, and I feel really compassionate towards these people who really want to like have something that services them. Like it's really like your little butler that's there for you to make sure that you have everything you need. I mean, my mom did it for me. She carried my dance bag. And so I'm just like doing it for everybody else. It's like comes naturally. It's like you want snacks? Where are the snacks going to go? We got a pocket for that.
Do you find though that if you're designing for brands that perhaps have a similar customer, a similar demographic, that you find yourself, and this is a challenge for anybody who's running a handbag brand, that you're adding in the same things for every bag? How do you handle that challenge?
Well, like I said, I become an actor in the role of the brand. So if I'm at Coach, I'm one person. If I'm at Will Leather Goods, I'm another person. Luckily, the founders that I work for, I meet with them. I really understand them. I get into their headspace. I understand what they're passionate about. For instance, Will Leather Goods, he used to be an actor and he was in LA, and I'm like, all right, that's something cool. Like let's tune into like some of the old movies that you were a part of. Like what a great concept board, and let's think about like let's design something for you. And I like that. Like it's fun to have a project where you really can tune into what you're doing for somebody else. Like I can draw anything, but I really would like to draw with a purpose, and then I want it to sell. Like if I wanted to be just a drawer or a painter, I would have been a fine artist, but I love the sell through. I like when everybody likes my bag. I like to see the numbers come through, and I like to jump to the next project. So it comes a lot from talking to the founder. And after all, they kind of want to make money off of your product, but they want their vision to be shown. So I can adapt and I can take ideas that I learned like 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and I can apply them to like what's current now so that you have a nice functioning handbag, not just some creative concept.
Can I just ask you, like, to this point, because you said so many key points that the bag also has to sell. Do you take into consideration what the potential target price of the product is, or do you just leave that to everybody else? Do you leave that to the other team because you're just designing the product and you want it to sell? Or are you thinking, like, okay, if I'm putting this product together as this actor in a play, how do I make sure that the ticket price of the play doesn't out too expensive for the people to come watch the show? Like, do you take that thoughtfully with the piece goods, or are you like, okay, well, that's it, my part's done? Because as a ghost designer, as a secret agent, there's only so much control you can have.
Well, you actually have more control than you think because the first thing that somebody says is they're like, I want a group of 5 handbags. I say, what's the price point? What's the price point? And I work backwards because if they want to have bags that cost $800, that's one thing. If they want a bag that they're like, oh, I really need it to be like under $100 and I only want to make 500 pieces, you're like, okay, that's a whole new challenge. We're going to go domestic. I might make the bags myself. Like, like you start thinking of all these things and that's kind of how, as a consultant, too, I do weed out projects because what level of serious are you and where do you want to be and like how much can you afford? Because really, it comes down to the bankroll. How much money do you have to spend? When you're working for a big brand, their expectations are high because they want to make a return on the investment. So I know right away, okay, I need to know the retail price point before I can even put pen to paper. And that is something some designers who might not know to do that, they might bottleneck or have problems at the end because they've maybe sourced too expensive materials, or they're, spent too much time sampling. Like everything like is quantified into the end price, and you don't want to waste money, you want to make money. So it turns into a puzzle. It turns into a game, and it makes, once you know what you're dealing with, it's so much easier to play the game.
That's so true. How involved are you taking trends into consideration? Because again, every play is different, and some brands follow their own specific path that might be independent of trends because their customer follows what they do. How do you take that into consideration?
Well, like when you're in college, you're always looking for the trend. Like all you care about is concept and your vision. And then you start working. My first handbag job was at Federated Merchandising Group, and I don't even know if they're around anymore.
Oh my
But then
God, you
all of
went
a
through
sudden,
boot camp.
yeah,
Oh my God. Yeah, you're a federated girl. That's retail boot camp. Look at you, still standing.
yeah, still standing and thriving after the Whitaker training accomplishment where you
Jesus
learn. Yeah,
Christ.
I know. So all of a sudden you're like, my precious concept of like the maidens and the leaves coming, like all of a sudden becomes a style number. And they just booked 40,000 units of black. And you're like, what is this game we're playing? Oh, and I got a bonus this year. Ooh, so then you start like seeing, oh, the customer has a need. So I get very involved. I get very involved into the nitty gritty. And sometimes founders are like, why are you worrying about that? And it's kind of all I worry about. I really just kind of worry about, because the creativity comes. That is like, I've had creativity since I was 3 years old. It's something that, but looking for trends. So I'm flipping through a magazine. I go to the library, or I go somewhere, and then I go out and I walk the streets. I'm in the wild. I'm in LA. I go to New York. I go to, if the company's in Eugene, Oregon, I go to Oregon, and I look around. I see what girls are wearing, because it's sometimes not what's happening in the or you see the red carpet, and then you see the girls, what they're not wearing off red carpet, or the guys, and you're like, wow, that's extremely different. Like I have some cool clutch for them for red carpet, but for every day they're wearing like this little satchel doctor bag under their arm right now. I think that's what all girls are going to want to wear right now. Like this square satchel looks pretty cool. And now, how do I make it practical for the everyday user? Well, one, I have to understand my customer and see how much she can afford. And then I start working with the trend, and then how much they afford. And then it's like a little puzzle. You put it together, and then you're like, this is cute. This is going to actually work. And some ideas don't translate. Like you love maybe even a Gucci bag, which is so relatable to everyone, might not work when it comes to that brand you're working for. That silhouette might not work for everybody. It might just need to stay with Gucci.
How do you deal with that though? Like, you are not a magician. And when people bring on designers, whether it's a designer driven brand where the owner is still quote unquote the designer, but people like you are brought in, or bigger brands, and what they're trying to accomplish is unrealistic because me, and the people with whom I deal, we deal with designers like that all the time. And obviously, you said at this stage, you can pick and choose the people you want to work with, right? You want to work with people who are of sound mind and understand that you have a retail anthropological process where you need to see people in the wild, you need to get a sense. And how do you handle those challenges where you're like, actually, what you want isn't going to sell? How do you deal with that?
If you ever wanted to start a handbag line and didn't know where to start, this is for you.
Living proof that independent designers can make it big.
Absolutely, Blumenthal is one prime example.
If you had dreams of becoming a handbag designer and didn't know where to start, this is for you. If you have a handbag brand and are in need of strategy and direction, this is for you. I'm Emily Blumenthal, handbag fairy godmother and handbag designer expert, and this is Handbag Designer 101, the masterclass. Over the next 10 classes, I will break down everything you need to know how to make, market, and manufacture a handbag. Broken down for you that you'll not only skip steps in that handbag building process, but also save money in that learning curve. For the past 20 years, I've been teaching at the top fashion universities in New York City, created the Handbag Awards, and also the Handbag Designer 101 podcast. I'm going to show you like I have countless brands from sketch to sample to shelf, whether you're just starting out and don't know where to begin, or even if you have a handbag line and just need some strategic direction, the Handbag Designer 101 Masterclass is just for you. So let's get started, and you will be the creator of the next It Bag. Join me, Emily Blumenthal, with the Handbag Designer 101 Masterclass.
Well, I don't know everything, and I love jumping into someone else's process. So if someone is successful and they say, "No, Holly, you're going to do it this way," I say, "Okay." And I do it. And I'm like, and I try it. But I have my process in the back of my head. And sometimes I have to do two processes at once to be able to come up with the right product. And it's only because it's like checks and balances. Somebody might be like super creative and they don't even want to like see anything on the computer. And you're like, all right, cool. I got it by hand. And then the process is enjoyable for me because I'm trying something new. And I think that's one thing that's fun about bouncing around from one brand to the next is it might get a little stagnant if you stay in one place and you're always just like, oh, here's a computer CAD and here's this. Like, it's just like your process isn't the best. Sometimes you have to trust the employer. They pulled you under their wing to see if they can help, you can help them, so it's pretty much about that relationship. So whether I'm working with a design director or I am the design director working with the VP who never even looked at like bags before because they're so busy doing something else, but they have something in their mind of what they want to accomplish and how they want it done. I try it. And then they're more receptive to maybe seeing stuff from me because I like played their game a little bit, but it's not like I'm playing. It's fun. That's part of the creative process.
Do you get involved or make suggestions what to do with the bags once they hit the floor or merchandising? There's a fun fact that a lot of people, it's cute. People have come up to me on the streets. Well, what our version of handbag streets, let's be honest. I don't want to sound like I'm this major celebrity within the handbag space. I can say I am. Beyond that, I don't know. But saying like bags don't sell if they can't stand up on their own. If a bag can't stand up on its own, it's harder for it to be successful because you have to assume, like much like the VP at Macy's said, that most floor staff's job is to help ring up the product, not to tell you the origin and the dog and pony show about here's the designer, here's what it's made of, here's the brand's ethos, here's what it stands for. It's like people when they're shopping right now their attention spans are so short that they look at the product, see if they can identify with it, if the aesthetic works for them, they consider the brand, do they want a brand that they know or don't know, and then they look at the price. Maybe not in that order, but those are the three key points. Like, does this bag have the assets? Does it look the part? Do I want to be associated with this brand name and can I afford it? And if it's too expensive, can I justify it? Or if it's too inexpensive, does it not reflect what the bag has to offer? So there's all these little key nuggets that go into the whole retail shopping process. Are you involved with anything like that once it hits retail?
Of course. The one thing that's nice in the fashion industry is when you are working in accessories, the teams are small. Through my experience, the teams have been very small. And a lot of the brands like New York and Company, I mentioned Coach before, every brand that I work for, Lotus, if you have a vertical retailing operation, the designers are on the floor and they are working with the visual merchandisers. Sometimes, well, back in the day, they're working with the whole team to make sure that it's represented correctly. And now when I'm working with smaller brands, it's easier for me to just go into the stores and just kind of reset the floor or to educate the consumer. I'm always doing go to market documents where I'm explaining how the bag should be shown, and that helps the sales staff. Now in the world of .com, how do you do that? Like when we were like at Coach, they were like, we design for the shelf, and now we design for the virtual experience. And I do believe that if you have a good silhouette that people recognize and they can relate to, and it's on trend and the materials are good, and you're working for a valid company that has like people trust, people will spend $800. People will spend the money, and they don't even see it in person. They can't even touch it. They can't feel it. But that's visual. That's your visceral response to like, oh, ooh, that's cute. I like that. And yes, I do. I work a lot with the other people or work by myself to make sure. I mean, I've even modeled bags mine, which is sometimes, who could show it off best? The person who created it.
Oh my God. Wait, you said two things, and I would love you to explain them. So you said a go to market document, and you also said when brands are set up vertically. Can you speak a little bit more about what both of those words mean?
So a go-to-market document pretty much educates the selling staff and your team on what is the concept of this handbag collection or bag or item. If it's a key item, how it's to be worn, what is to be, because sometimes some of your sales staff will be a man and maybe he never had a diaper bag before, maybe he never had an office bag, or maybe somebody never carried around paperwork, and you have to explain to them, okay, this is a briefcase and this is what you carry inside of it. So a go-to-market document pretty much explains the trend. It explains the silhouette, it explains the colorways, and educates the staff on how to sell it. And sometimes that gets sent out to bigger retailers where they can understand the brand's point of view so that they
How
know how.
long is it? Because when we tell people these things, much like people assume with a resume, where you're telling someone keep your resume one page and then lo and behold, the cover letter's 4 pages. Like, are there visuals on this? Because people, this is such good educational nuggets, Holly. Like, are there pictures? Like, what does this document look like?
It's usually 4 pages. It depends on how big your line is. Like when I was at Lotus, I think since we did like 375 SKUs a quarter, it was crazy. And I did business and travel, handbags, and small leather goods. That document was probably about 8 pages. And that really showcased like what's happening in the market now. What is our interpretation of that? So if it's an unlined bag, like that might be in the marketplace, like what does our unlined bag look like? So that when the buyers are out selling, or sales staff is selling to the buyers, they understand, oh, because they might not have ever thought of that. They might not have said like, oh, wow, yeah, we have unlined bags that are selling on our floor right now. And this is the Lotus version of it. Perfect. Like this is, and so handbags is a lot about sales. And being a designer, you're selling your visual ideas. You like from like we can all talk about it. But can you put it on paper? How do you put it on paper? And there's many different ways. Like you can draw it. You can then prototype it. And then you have to then still sell it. Like you can even have a prototype and people are, like you said, they're busy. They got stuff going on. And if they don't realize, oh, this is just like what's on trend at Dior, that's where the pleat comes from. I want a pleated bag and I like this brand and I'm going to buy it from this person. So, yeah, it's the go to market document is essential for your selling team.
Do you think, as an independent designer, it's helpful to send to the boutiques that are carrying your product?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's pretty much like you have a line sheet that you give out, and it's just another. Sometimes the line sheet will just show the brand, and it will have like style shot, and it will have like the front view, and then the colorways and the price. But yeah, I think any education that you can give to a consumer, especially if it's something conceptual from a brand that you've never heard of before, and you're trying to fit into whatever, there's so many different stores. There's so many, and one might be like the Canyon store, one might be like the Mod store, like you, like how do you have a bag that serves all these customers? And sometimes you'll have to tweak it. If you're more modern and you're trying to like get into like REI, how do you fit in to, and you can't fit everywhere. That's why there's always opportunity. There's always opportunity for handbag designers because there's always going to be something, some new fad, something new that somebody needs the right bag for.
What do you think the latest trend is that people are getting excited about?
I think people are coming back to leather.
I do too.
Leather. And I think they're realizing that maybe the vegan leather or things like that. What I realize is things that maybe I made with like a synthetic leather are now falling apart
Yep.
10 years later. And I think now those like people want a forever bag. If they're going to spend over $400, they want that to be a forever bag. And you notice like it's peeling, and then you take it to the shoemaker and you're like, can you
And,
clean this for me? And
and
like,
he's like,
oh,
no.
no. And then you're like, my bag is literally crumbling apart. And if you have leather, it lasts forever. So I think people are kind of going back to.
But I want to ask you something to that. And I'm notorious for interrupting. So anyone who's listening, I know, but I'm thinking, asking the questions that you're thinking. If you want people to buy your bag as a forever bag, how do we get them to keep coming back?
Oh, you just make a new style because this forever bag. I mean, hello, we're mostly women. We're not going to wear, like, nobody's like wants to be assigned a bag for their whole life. They want
Yep.
like
Yep.
you're like, even today I put on like 4 different blazers and I wore this just white shirt. You need to have options, and like a black bag isn't going to work for everything, especially in California. Like you're in the city, but in 2 hours I'm in the mountains, and that look like the Ojai girl to the Los Feliz girl are 2 different people. So it's like you want to fit in and feel cool. And most of that is like to be in that environment. You want to look the part because you want to feel part of that environment, and
Yep.
not like, and having multiple bags, but you will go back because you love the quality. Like if the quality is amazing, that people are just searching for that yummy buttery leather that we had like so many years ago. I guess like 16 years ago, we had so many independent brands that were just putting
Oh
out
my God.
wonderful leathers. And then we just kind of reared away from it because people
Yep.
started wearing athleisure. And so nylon bags kind of looked better than these like kind
Yep.
of fancy, because leather was considered fancy instead of
Yep.
utilitarian. But now we see brands like Aloe, who's they're taking Italian leather bags and they're putting them with athleisure, and it's looking good. And
I
so,
know. I know. I've noticed that too. It's crazy. It's really funny how, and I gotta say, and maybe I'm off, but I feel like this attention or demand to go back to leather you see all these like consultants or experts, retail experts, and they're all very young. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But they're all saying people want to go back to shopping. People want to go back to see, feel, touch, and all that. And I feel like so much of that is tied to, okay, if I want to go back to experience, then I want to go back to see, feel, touch. If I'm going to see, feel, touch, I want a product that's going to be worth my time, effort, energy, and money. And that usually goes back to what the real thing is, the real deal. And the real deal is, for better or for worse, leather. So I feel like they're all intertwined. One more thing, because we spoke about, you said about when a company works vertically. What did you mean by that? Because I like to talk about these things for our listeners who may or may not know what this is, because this is like a hearty educational episode.
well, I was a teacher. And then I feel like as a senior designer, or even now, like I go in and the girls or guys, anybody who's in the staff, they just graduated from high school, college, and they are so driven and they're so talented. And I love, and here's an example of working vertically. You have this talent, this raw talent, and then somebody like me that also has talent, but knows how to manage it because I've been shepherded through the 20 years of my experience. You just hope that they're not like brainwashed to be stubborn. You hope that they have an open mind and are receptive so you don't butt heads because really, like at the end of the day, you all just want to get a bonus at the end of the year and keep on working. So when you're all in sync, working vertically from concept to completion, that's one thing. Working for a vertical retailer is what I was kind of speaking about before, where you're more involved with working with like cross-functionally with like merchandising teams and people who are on the store. Like I am constantly talking to people who are in the field, whether they be salespeople or the salespeople in the store or just going out to wholesale clients and things like that. That's a way that the designer works with them to make sure the product is represented properly in the store. So it kind of, if the stores are not working based on like the corporate guidelines and the brand guidelines and the collection guidelines, it just isn't shown in the best light. We all have different training, we all have different expertise. And I know like sometimes when I talk, I sound like the designer who does everything. I love to draw. I love to make the bags. Like I love to do that, but I'm hyper aware of like when you like the glossy magazine effect. Like when you see your product in print and it's on that glossy cover, you're like, ooh, that's what I want to buy. So it has to look that way in the store. So you just have to become friendly with those people to kind of make sure the visual and artistic intent is portrayed for the end customer.
Holly, this has been an absolute delight. How can people find you, hire you, bring you on to their brand to be fortunate enough to help it get that one extra bump better? Because wherever you are, I know the brands you've been at, they've been very fortunate, and I think their product always reflects the Holly Beedle touch. How can we
Oh,
learn more about the Holly Beedle of handbags?
well, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm Holly Lauren Beedle. That's my full name. You can contact me through yourlookbyholly.com. And you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Holly Beedle and I give a lot of tips there. And yeah, keep in touch. This has been
And
so fun, Emily. I love to talk handbags.
oh my God. I know, but I also want to clarify. It's Beedle, Beetle,
Correct. Correct.
not like the Beatles. It's a Holly Beetle.
Yes, it's a Holly Beedle. Yes.
It's a Holly Beetle. Oh my God, we have to have you back so we can talk trends another time. But this is just like scraping the surface. I love my handbag community of designers and people, and you're totally under that umbrella. So that's it. You're part of us. You're gonna come back.
Oh,
So thank you.
thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate and review and follow us on every single platform at Handbag Designer. Thanks so much. See you next time.